Welcome back, everyone. Today we have with us Sudeep Gupta, the co-founder and CEO of Indus Vision, the company that's solving quality control using the power of AI. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Naveen.
Yeah, I think we're in a good place to start with your introduction. So, who are you?
Uh, hi, Naveen, and hi, everyone. My name is Sudeep Gupta, and I'm the co-founder and CEO for Indus Vision. Uh, I have a strong background in robotics and artificial intelligence and computer vision, with a strong experience of working in from my college life in all of these, technologies to develop more solutions. Indus Vision was incorporated in the year 2024. So, all the products that you use today has a standard that it has to come. For example, let's take the very toothpaste that we use early morning.
Mhm.
I- We wouldn't like if the company would ship it to us with some holes or punches in it, right?
Right.
Or if the seal was broken even before you could use it,
Correct.
or if the expiry dates and things were mismatched when it comes to your hand. So
Yeah.
all of these are nothing but damaging the brand reputation. So if you find one or two such toothpaste from a brand, you would have the impression, oh, this brand is bad. Let me stay away from it. So
Correct.
what we are doing is helping the company establish this trust with their customer by improving their quality.
Mhm.
And that's where the quality control is very essential for any product manufacturing company.
Mhm. It seems like human eyes got better resolutions than cameras. Why do you think these AI cameras can do better job than humans?
Oh, nothing can beat human eye. They are the best tool in the world.
Mhm.
But as a human, we have limitations for doing repetitive tasks. So if the same toothpaste is shown to a human again and again and again, at a time it would bring around fatigue. And the speed at which these production happen, typically 300, 400, 700, and 1,000 units per minute,
Mhm.
a human eye would have a hard time to keep up with those. And that's where these cameras come in. To it's not exactly a replacement, I
Mhm.
would say, but it's an enhancement. So when you see these repetitive tasks of continuously identifying any anomaly or defect in the product,
Mhm.
a program or an artificial intelligence would do it much better because it wouldn't show the fatigueness of a human,
Mhm.
because human are prone to fatigue, and they start making mistakes after a long time or longer duration of work. So that's where AI based solutions come into better use in these use cases.
Okay, but do we still need humans? Or is it like 100% replacement of humans?
So I would say you can replace at least 80% of your reutilize. I would say it's not replacement, reutilize the workforce that you have put for quality control and solutioning to
Mhm.
other areas which would be much more beneficial. And this would eliminate almost 80 to 90% of human errors in the solutioning.
Great. There is an interesting question of like this is the typical problem that all the AI companies face. So I'm sure you must be facing a lot of challenges while building these models, right? So models often seems like black box that no one would know what's happening inside. So how do you communicate these challenges to clients or often like non-tech people?
So, the most easiest way to make them understand is with examples.
Mhm.
So, the easiest method that all our clients understand is something called as template match.
Okay.
So, they know if something you have seen, it should always match the same product standard every time.
Correct.
So, we tell them that when an image is come as an standard input, and
Mhm.
when you compare an other image to your standard input image, if there are differences,
Mhm.
we make sure that these differences are identified, what those differences are picked up,
Mhm.
and then it is stated to the client that, okay, this is the reason why the product was rejected. Because now there are some clients who are more advanced and they want to know how exactly this happens. So most of the time we tell them that it's a mathematical relationship between your standard product and the live product.
Correct.
It's all of this outcomes based on that mathematical modeling of the earlier data set. So for this, we have one more big challenge that I would like to address here.
Sure.
So not just that the client understanding, but sometimes we need data and a
Correct.
lot of data to build these models, to work accurately. And that's where when we ask for defects and good data, we have to explain them a lot why I need the defect and the variation in the defects. So these typically are needed when we are making a classification model. But if we are going with good, not good concept of the product, we just take use of good images and then take a threshold of what is acceptable, and the rest is automatically mapped.
Okay, got it. So how do you even train the models? Like what steps are included?
Okay. So this is an interesting one. So basically, it starts from the data collection. For the data collection, for especially for our product Indus Vision, it starts by setting up the cameras, the lighting conditions, and then locking them in the position. Now, the engineers collect the data that is for both good and bad samples around, let's say, 1,000 of each type. And then these data are given for an annotation. This I'm basically talking when we go for a classification model. Now, these are annotated by a team of annotators. Then it is validated. Once this annotation is done, we run various type of data augmentation techniques over it to
Yeah.
create, exposure problems or to address noise in the camera. Also, the rotation and all the other artifacts that
Why
would
do
be
we need data
present.
augmentation? Why do we need data augmentation?
So, so one is to increase the data size that you would get more often.
Mm-hmm.
But the real reason where we use it would be more towards pre-processing steps of the data augmentation, where we, include this exposure, rotation, and noise and other artifacts into it.
That we possibly
So
wouldn't get while collecting the data, right? Sometimes
yes,
updated version of it, and all of that.
so to get all of these, you would really need to work hard with client, and that's where we want to skip this process and just go for data augmentation. Now, once all these are done,
Mhm.
let's say if we have taken an open source model for simplicity sake of this interview,
Mhm.
and in the open source model, there is a format in which it usually accepts the data and the annotations format. So it could be even YML, TXT, or JSON, or any format that's available for standard users. And the typical use cases are either segmentation or detection, or even if you take a large language model for an example,
Mhm.
would follow the similar rules. So once the model or the right choice is picked up, let's say we picked up for segmentation,
Mhm.
and for simplicity's sake, we can keep ResNet, sorry, not ResNet, but let's take YOLO models for an example. So YOLO accepts in TXT, JSON, and various formats. So we download the data based on that. And once the data is ready for that model, all you have to pick up is the standard lines or codes that are available from the developers of this model. And then you can train your model on a GPU system.
Yeah.
Now, we do need a GPU system to accelerate the training,
Mhm.
although it's not a compulsory thing. So if you had to train a very small model also on CPU, it could take days,
Mhm.
while with GPU, it could be done within hours.
Right. So, having right data, it seems like a very easy process, right? So, a lot of companies can do this. What makes Indus Vision stand out from their competitors?
So, yes, so data and model is actually one point of it. Indus Vision stands out because of its offering as a solution. We put the whole package as a product to the company where the hardware is also of Indus Vision, the software is also of Indus Vision.
Mhm.
Due to this, a tight integration can be built, something similar to how Apple does.
Yeah.
And due to this tight integration,
Mhm.
we can customize our solution to as much as required for the client. So if you see the existing products that's there in the market,
Mhm.
typically they are pre-programmed cameras, those are installed. And these are again installed by third-party vendors who
Okay.
have limited access to the functionality in the cameras.
Okay.
And this is a major advantage that Indus Vision has over all of them. Now, there are players who give customized solution, but they again use third-party hardwares
Mhm.
and which integration and the usability, all of them comes into picture. Next is because we have control over the hardware,
Mhm.
we can exactly tell what precise camera would be required for a solution
Mhm.
with precise lens and lighting so that we actually give the outcome at a much competitive costing.
Okay.
Coming to technical advantage, we have a very unique business analytics tool, which just not says you good, not good, but it is beyond that, which helps you take decision
Mhm.
in basically saying, okay, let's say a particular defect was occurring again and again and again. The system is smart enough to identify the reason for that defect. And if the client is willing enough to create a feedback loop, the
Mhm.
system also will help to eliminate that particular defect completely by communicating to their PLC,
Mhm.
having a vertical integration to their machine,
Mhm.
which all the other competitor lacks basically at this time.
Okay, so basically you have all the access of hardware and also software inbuilt. So you will have a
Yes.
lot of parameters to tweak, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look ahead a little bit. So what do you think the future of visual inspection?
So, see, as AI is becoming a normal trend globally,
Mhm.
so the market is going to go big. So, uh, the future of visual inspection is moving towards real time and self learning systems, basically.
Okay.
And these systems should be able to adapt to a new environment, production environment automatically. And not just that, as in more factories and industries start adopting AI to their manufacturing solution,
Mhm.
and when the cost of this entire solutioning can come down further, even SMEs will be able to, go with AI based quality control, if I had to say. And most of the equipment manufacturers will also be forced to integrate AI directly even before supplying the machineries.
Mhm.
Why? Because three main important reasons. One, um, camera or a machine is always good at doing repetitive tasks.
Correct.
Third, if you program it, it will always give you a similar or accurate results.
Mhm.
So you will always have a better control over the solution. And third, all the customers are getting more and more educated towards what's a quality product and what is good and bad for them.
Yeah.
So you need to have advanced quality control solution built into your production line.
Yeah.
So that's where I see the AI adoption is going to increase rapidly,
Yeah.
and the market is already growing, by 15 to 20% every year.
Yeah, I think AI is kicking off, and also people are becoming more aware about the quality of the product. So I think it's the right time to start
Yes.
with things. Okay, you mentioned about
Yes.
self-learning models. So what do you mean by self-learning models?
So a very good generic example would be reinforcement learning, where the you built a model,
Mhm.
and the model would be then working on itself to learn. For let's take an example in a very simple way. So you have let's take for our use case only. We have deployed a model and it's done. It's working.
Mhm.
But what it does is every time it takes a sample, it stores back those samples and retrain its data with whatever it has been able to predict and not predict
Mhm.
to make sure that when a similar scenario occurs again, it is able to predict it. So these are on the self-learning part of it.
Correct. Okay. So if that happens, that can become an advantage because you will have all the data gathered and you will have one model. Okay. So moving ahead,
That can keep on learning. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I'm seeing all of these models like video to video generation models and text to video generation models. I don't see them as models that can add economic value to the economy. So, but visual inspection is something that can add economic value to the economy, to the company. So, do you see other applications of AI where models can add economic value to the economy?
See, adoption is one of the thing because if you see, let's take any of the large language models. If it was in a process where it was used to replace how to, content creation, for example,
Mhm.
that's the first market that has been impacted due to this, where, content writers and all those are phasing out.
Yeah,
But the whole point is running these models are very expensive for the companies, and that's where the business for actual product owner does not work out.
yeah.
But as and when you have a larger adoption of these technologies,
Mhm.
it could add more and more revenue for these companies, and they would essentially make.
Mhm.
Now, for Indus Vision, we are working beyond manufacturing. AI-powered visual inspection has massive potential in all of these industries,
Right.
especially like logistic, food processing, pharmaceuticals,
Mhm.
and even automotive. AI can help, reduce material wastage,
Correct.
improve product consistency,
Yeah.
ensure that all regulatory and compliances are met, which in turn would lead to, a cost saving for these customers
Mhm.
and increase customer satisfaction. So more your customers are satisfied, the more sales you can make. Now let's get beyond in this vision. With AI powered solution, you can actually increase, I mean, it can help in agriculture, it can help in disaster recovery and management, it can be a part of security and surveillance.
Mhm.
So let's take security and surveillance as an example. Let's take cameras and AI itself.
Right.
So where you would have a guard just to sit and stare at a big screen,
Mhm.
and you still would not be able to figure out if somebody broke into, because then you would have to see the recording. But
Correct.
with the help of AI, you can have a real-time solutioning. Now, what this will enable is you will have a real-time notification. You will be able to create new skills or new roles, for job.
Yeah.
People who knows how to work on artificial intelligence. You can skill people how to use the tools.
Mhm.
No, everybody need not build the tool, but even using the tool to get things done is one of a big advantage. So that's how we can improve the economy using artificial intelligence. And all of these AI needs data centers that would have a scope for new line of business. So the there are multiple verticals in or paths in which the economy can grow.
Correct. For example, AI in healthcare and security. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you see computer vision is bigger than generative AI?
See, the world is going towards generative AI. I wouldn't be so bold enough to tell that computer vision is larger than generative AI.
Mhm.
Gen AI is, beyond computer vision what classical does, because, Gen AI is not just limited to your only text or language model. Gen
Right.
AI can also generate images, videos, and even synthetic data for you.
Mhm.
So the way I see it, Gen AI is the future, which also incorporates computer vision within it directly.
Okay. Great.
And let's say that even the traditional, image and video editing softwares are now integrating these as a standard features of it.
Mhm. Great. So do you see synthetic data is one of the use cases of generative AI?
Yes, I do see that generative synthetic data could be. I mean, it's more from a point where I operate in the line of business that I see synthetic data could be a part of it. Still, the models have a lot to develop in this, although it's already, marvelous how it has worked. For
Mhm.
example, if you take your any Apple or Google phone, which comes with the uh, standard AI functions. You can
Correct.
even make the person smile, or if the eyes are closed, you can just make the eyes pop out, and
Mhm.
the photo can be tweaked to a great enhancement, right?
Yeah.
All of these would feel more like a gimmick or sales technique at this point.
Mhm.
But imagine the sheer power of the model in understanding what you are looking at and
Okay.
generate an image accordingly.
Mhm.
So that is something interesting and scary at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. Do you see talent gap in this field?
I do see that there is a significant talent gap,
Mhm.
uh, mainly because most of the our education system focuses more on theoretical learning than on practical,
Mhm.
and most of the students just take up something that's there on internet, just replicate it, clone it, and they believe that the AI or the computer vision part they know, but to really understand it, they should know what's going behind the scene and not treat it as a black box.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest challenge that I see. Other thing is like uh, let's say particularly when we are using machine learning or computer vision or AI deployment. We see, like I said, a lot of talent in theoretical AI, practical
Mhm.
knowledge like working real world data, deploying model on edge devices, which is essentially optimization,
Yeah.
then actual integration with a production system or a product is where the main gap lies. Students and colleges should focus on building strong logics
Yeah.
or learn programming skills
Mhm.
or understand the fundamental of these models, how they work. Because essentially every larger model is built upon the ideas or principle of the fundamental models which
Yeah.
started. So if you know the basics, you will always know the higher version of them.
Great. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Navin.
Thank you.